Hi, I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We're Odyssey. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Vinland Saga, Season 1, Episode 15. I just want to start it. I'm elated.
You're elated?
Like Anne.
With Anne.
Like Anne.
Like Anne. For Anne?
No.
No.
Maybe. Ready?
Yeah.
Sweet. Ah.
I wonder if that's Knut's mom. Look at the scars.
Talented as in fighting, I'm assuming. Oh, look at his little scarf.
This is called Thorkel's Lament. We remember things differently. And it's the winter.
This is robbery.
What a contrast to eating people out of house and home from last episode.
Yeah. It's how you stay warm. Damn.
Go find some fun.
What an admirable wish. Must they constantly beg for forgiveness?
Save the souls of the men who killed these people. I do find it interesting that Thorfinn is out there with them and watching them.
Yeah. Wow. It's music.
Oh!
I've come around for Ragnar. I'm a big Ragnar stan.
The dagger.
The father. Oh God. Oh God. Anne's gonna fight too. She's elated. Oh. I love that Thorfinn's in the same line as Canute.
That's what he cares about. Pack us lunch. Oh gosh.
Oh my God, these poor people.
their under eye bags.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Oh, look at the scars.
If we do this right, we can enjoy this war for a long time. Are they trying to make me think that this is P? And it's not? Oh, no, it is. Nice craftsmanship. We don't know that this is English with Thorkel.
Askeladd's luck.
It's running out.
Wow. Aww. How can you not love him?
This episode has me coming around to him a little bit. Is Canute a good cook?
Aww. Looks so good.
They're like a little family.
Eat politely and slow.
Catch us deer next time. Oof, no. Look at him.
He cares so much about him, man.
A father should love their child. Thorfinn's gonna catch them some type of bird next, 100%.
Oh, good instincts, though. Battle's begun.
God, I want to talk about what Thorfinn just did right there so bad. You should go see him yourself.
Is this Askeladd's plan?
Oh my god, wait, I have a really bad feeling. Oh my god, is Ragnar gonna die? Ragnar's gonna die. Maybe these aren't Askeladd's men? No, I don't know. He left Canute alone.
Not alone.
Well,
But
Thorfinn.
I am pretty sure that's fatal.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Someone was hiding in the
Jesus.
snow! Orders!
It's just making soups. I was about to say, it'd feel weird if he wasn't there, right?
Mhm.
The death will cause him to grow even further. Ugh. Ragnar the Warrior.
Oh, we're getting parallel of Thor's to Ragnar? He decided to kill one. And to die a warrior's death. He's his own father.
I don't think Askeladd ever realized how risky this is.
Oh.
Okay, that was Vinland Saga, Season 1, Episode 15.
15.
It was your fault. If you didn't hate Ragnar so much, he wouldn't have died there. The animation would have changed if you had supported him earlier. And I never doubted him. It's my fault, too.
Well,
I'm part of it.
I already said before that I didn't hate him. I was frustrated by some of his more stifling actions.
He's never done anything
Knut's
wrong.
Growth.
He's great. All he wanted to do was cook soup.
I wouldn't go as far as Askeladd here with, like, the best thing for Canute is for you to die right here. Yeah, like, I would never have gone to that place. I think it's more like a sit-down meeting, like, hey, you want him to grow up, like, and be independent and confident, you know, maybe speaking for him all the time isn't necessarily, like, the way to go.
You might as well be King Swen. You're just trying to kill him.
Apparently.
Man, you know, it's interesting because obviously we haven't had a crazy amount of time with Canute or Ragnar, and the time that we have had has been a little like surface, like face value, mm-hmm. right? Because it's we've been given a lot of dialogue, especially from Ragnar, speaking for the prince and obviously trying to like make sure that the prince is okay and complete what he feels is his mission and what he needs to do. And because of that, and just the way that the show's gone, we haven't had too much time to really sit down around a fire and eat with each other.
I think this is a really great like topic to go into. Is that in this episode, you know, you just said, like, we're sitting around a fire, we're having time with these two characters, but what we get in this episode is that even before the episode is over and the finishing blow of the end of the episode even happens, Canute has spoken up and been vulnerable and honest and spoken for himself now on multiple occasions before we even get what happens at the end.
Yeah.
Not only does he speak up to the priest and show some vulnerability, so show some like deep down, you know, issues that he's having, conflicts he's having inside,
Yeah.
things that are emotional subjects for him and are really close to his heart, and he speaks up on them loudly. And then we have him being vulnerable and open to Thorfinn, like, share this table with me. You did good catching this rabbit. Thank you. Like, don't tell anyone about this secret of me cooking. Here's a secret of me cooking for my dad.
Yeah,
like,
okay. That's a lot. Like, from the beginning, I want to talk about, like, what got us there. Because I think that the show did a really good job, not just in this episode, but the previous episode, setting us up for when they chose to give us this information specifically. And I think that looking back on the way that they decided to give us the information that they did and the order of events is really intriguing and I think really cool.
I get ahead of myself, but that is what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
What I was saying was the order of events was
interesting. Coming off of last episode too, I felt like for the first time we were somewhat getting a sense of like worry or fear from King Swen about Canute's safety. And coming into this episode, at the beginning of this episode, I think we're getting reminded of that too a little bit, like okay, Canute is missing right now. Is he dead? No, he's not dead. He's this. But obviously, by the end of the episode, now that we're looking back at hindsight, it's not the concern that's leading him to ask these questions. It's almost like he's just waiting for that confirmation.
He's waiting to have word that the power struggle is over.
Yeah.
And that he can grieve his son. If he's already decided his son's going to die and which son's going to die, then he's just waiting for it to be over with so he can then, I guess, play the part of a grieving father.
There's obviously the possibility that Ragnar isn't telling the whole truth. That being said, I have no reason to not believe him.
Yeah, especially with it being his, like, dying wish.
Yeah, and from what we've heard about Harold and what even King Swen has said about him in the beginning of this episode, it goes to reinforce what he said. So I'm going to choose to 100% believe that that's what's going on here. And looking back at it too, you had said at the beginning of the episode, like, oh, I wonder if that's Canute's mom. Like, I don't know if that's the case. Probably
I'd imagine
isn't.
There's a bunch of concubines.
Yeah.
And different women. And I think it's kind of really perfect to pick one that has a similar hair color and possible, like, look to Canute here.
Yeah.
And also this idea that this woman that is by his bedside feeding him is a blank slate of emotion.
Yeah.
It gives you more of a look into, like, what we've been described from Ragnar Canute beforehand of the kind of atmosphere at which they live in.
I obviously will come back to it later, like talking about, the end of the episode, come back to the beginning. But God, why is Thorkell the best character? He's so lovable, and like obviously like the things that he's saying like about
not lovable.
Well, like,
but like it's his. I think it's his attitude.
To me, it's like in that same like category of like a Goku like character, like the love for the fight. Like I believe that Thorkell is like is pretty smart, to be honest with you. And he knows exactly what he wants, and he is very blunt about it, sure, but he's easily one of my favorite characters in the show. Easily. I love him, and I wish that I could see an entire backstory of him. Like, he has such, like I said, Goku, but like main character energy in some like other regard that I would love to see him like growing up from Thorfinn's age and seeing that love for battle and fighting and like growing over the years and him getting to where he is today.
One of my favorite things that oftentimes I find in anime is morally ambiguous characters that are given a lot of love and a lot of attention and a lot of really great writing.
Yeah.
They end up feeling like real people. They have, instead of the viewer just feeling like they're feeling surface flat emotions of like, oh, I like this character, oh, I don't like this character, they're good, they're evil. You're having us feel a lot more complex feelings toward this character,
Yeah.
of this mixture of rooting for them and liking them on the screen, but then like morally I don't agree with what you're doing, but you sounded really cool saying it, and like, you know.
Yeah. I think it's also a really interesting choice to like first we didn't need to have any of Thorkel this episode at all. And I think
we really didn't.
And I think it's really interesting that we had him in it.
What's the choice?
One of the choices, I think, is what comes immediately afterward. Like one of his last lines on screen, in that sequence, is him wanting or expressing that he wishes war could last forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we immediately change to ears up in the tree, listening in on the praying of on the graves of the people who were killed and asking for forgiveness for the people who did the killing as well. And obviously, a lot of religion throughout the years has been used as a motivator, or been used weaponized, or there are people who fight for their god in history. And I wonder if at least from like Canute, let's say, perspective, it could be that contrast between Thorkel wanting to fight every day, and from what I understand, there's a lot of people's interpretation of the Bible and how you look at the cross, like you're praying for the day that war's over, right? And there's peace. And it could be that just the complete opposite of what Thorkel is feeling, and we see that through Canute. And then I wonder if like, let's look at Canute in the thought that Canute could potentially want a world without the fighting, without the war. And that's a lot of like headcanon-y work I'm doing there. If that's the route though that they go, think about how that would like affect Thorfinn and what Thors had said, like on the boat and his dying breath.
A great area to go into, because I wrote down during this scene that I didn't find, and it could have just been my interpretation, I didn't find a hint of disdain in Thorfinn's voice when he was reacting to them praying. He was sitting there close enough to be listening to them, and close enough, and he could have gone somewhere else if he was bothered by them, but he was there holding his father's dagger.
Yeah.
And yes, he might have been like, oh, they're being loud, but there wasn't really any like disdain or disgust or disapproval in the voice acting, at least for me, for my interpretation of it. And I really appreciated that touch, that like he's present, he's curious, he's respectful to a degree that I think we can even be surprised possibly that he is, by how he has lived his life for the last years that he has been in Askeladd's party.
Yeah. I like Thorfinn. It's interesting because I wish that, on one hand, I wish that we like had more time with him because I like him so much. But I think that one of the reasons why I like him so much is how he's fitting into the story, and that story is like obviously succeeding because it's giving me so much of other characters and perspectives.
I think that what this episode is almost driving home, especially in this scene in particular, seems to be like the main character, I guess on surface level, is Thorfinn, but the actual like plot is that father-son dynamic. Like we're having it kind of in different iterations constantly. We have Thors and we have Thorfinn. We have this idea of like Askeladd now taking up some sort of father figure for Thorfinn in some regard, because he's this older man that is now Thorfinn is with, not really fathering him to any degree, but maybe poorly fathering him to some people's opinion.
Yeah.
And then we get Ragnar and Canute and their relationship, and then we got Christianity, father and son, and then we have King Sweyn and Canute. It's like father-son.
So when the priest is doubting the father, right? And then we see like Canute's reaction, and that's tied in later with everything that Ragnar is saying to Canute about the king's reaction to the cooking and unveiling that plan to Askeladd, and everything taken into consideration, where does Canute himself draw a line, right? Like, is there, like, the theme of doubting a father, is there a point in Canute's life and in this, like, line of ruling, since we now know that the idea of killing Canute's on the table, where Canute's like, I'm not even doubting my personal father, but I am against him and leaning more into our father, you know?
I honestly find this whole idea and this whole scene so, like, cry-worthy. Like, if you actually, like, think about it, especially once Canute, like, stands up and is like, are you doubting the father's love? As soon as, like, we actually, like, think about it and unpack it, I almost want to cry, and because I'm imagining this child Canute trying to, like, be his father's son and, you know, make his father proud and give gifts to his father, and they're completely being rejected, and
but it's a different world, man.
He can't earn his father's love, and so he latches on to this idea of this God who will always love you. This father that will always love you, and, like, no doubt about it. And he latches onto that, and it means so much to him that the moment he hears someone else in his camp of Christianity doubting it, he's like, you can't, what?
Yeah.
You know, like, he would never, like, he immediately comes to the defense, because this is something that is so deeply, like, he's almost, this is his protection, this is his security, this is his safety, this is his, like, what's holding his heart.
Yeah.
It's the replacement of his own father's love.
Do you think that Canute can fight? Like,
like, actually, physically, like, you know, be good at combat?
Yeah, I think, like, early on, I expected him to be, like, insane. Then the more we went, I was, like, under the line of thinking of, okay, those who are truly powerful and can wield the sword the most, like, what defines them isn't actually wielding the sword, but it's the ability to and choosing not to. And then after that, I was more of like, okay, he probably can't fight at all because it's not his disposition, it's not the way we've seen. But knowing that he did grow up under the king, I imagine there was at least an attempt at training. And I don't know, part of me thinks that it would be an interesting decision to have Canute have the ability to fight, but then again, if they'd ever chose to show him fighting, it would be an interesting turning point for what they're doing with his character.
This is a great question. I feel like if you had asked me this question last episode, I probably would have had a drastically different answer than I have now. I feel like from what this episode is, we are seeing this possibility of, even if Canute doesn't want to fight and he wants to have peace, that he might see that the only way for himself and the people around him to survive and have peace is to pick up a sword, or is to fight, or is to protect someone else.
Yeah.
That he cares about would be maybe a good driving force for him to fight, especially with when getting this parallel to Thor's and Thorfinn, you know, and that's the reason Thorfinn picks up the dagger and begins fighting, is that not, he can't protect his father anymore, but he can get revenge for his father. He can avenge his father. He can be defensive of his father's, what his father died for and what his father's dying words were. And Canute is now in a similar position, and it can either go in two different directions, probably. But Thorfinn's probably the best person to have around Canute right now at that crossroad for fighting. Because Thorfinn was, like, the smaller kid, you know, wasn't really the one that you'd give the big heavy sword to. He fights with daggers. Like, he throws them. He has a different fighting style than most of the men in Askeladd's camp. And I think Canute could possibly latch onto that fighting style.
Yeah.
Maybe an
I
archer.
look at Askeladd like a single dad. Maybe not. Bjorn's there with like
Single
two kids.
dad works
Yeah.
2 jobs.
Him like consulting Bjorn about this was interesting. Like, let's do what we discussed, right? And then to have the other men in the army be like acknowledge the fact that Askeladd's running out of luck at the moment, it seems, because this is the first time that his plans have been ruined and have not come to fruition.
And he's making, we get that line, and then we get more decisions by Askeladd that could turn things drastically in the story. And it really has the viewer in this place that, oh, if people in the story are perceiving that Askeladd's luck is running out and not just us, the viewer, what does this mean for Askeladd or the fate of this group of people?
So I'm worried for Askeladd at the moment, because when it comes to him seeing all the cards on the table and then choosing what to do, I trust him completely. But in terms of him just realizing the scope of where the position Canute's in now, I don't even know what he's going to, like, what his next step confidently is going to be after hearing that information from Ragnar.
Analogy is great about when he has all the cards on the table. Maybe we can trust him more. But he didn't have all the cards.
Yeah.
Because he didn't know the scope, like you just said. He didn't realize that if he presented Canute to the king, he would then be given a bunch of gifts.
Yeah.
And rewards for him and his men. Like, he is now learning the king doesn't even want the prince to live. That is not the position I think that Askeladd thought he was going to be in.
Yep.
Or was in.
I mean, the whole idea of the two factions, Harold being the one that King Swen apparently is the one favoring, and a lot of reason for Askeladd doing this, hoping for favor of returning somebody when it's the opposite of what King Swen wants, right? Like, I don't know.
Do you see that? Okay, I don't know if they're trying to do this, but are they painting a parallel of Askeladd's reasoning for killing all the villagers last episode to why King Swen sends Canute into battle? That kind of, like, end their suffering early idea?
I don't know.
Because he could be thinking, they will eat my son alive if he becomes king. That sort of idea?
No.
Are they trying to paint a parallel there?
I don't think so. Because I think it's more focused on, like, the intention of King Swen's motive and his lack of, like, he knows what a divided country would mean. Like you're fucked at that point. The only
thing is you have to kill one of them or it'll always be divided.
Yeah, and if it's divided, then you're at your weakest because the numbers are split, right?
Or there might be, like, a faction that then rises and revolution, fight coup, fights whoever's currently in power.
Last thing I wanted to talk about was Thorfinn's scene eating with them. Like, I love the whole build up to it. Again, like, I've come around to Ragnar a lot, like, not joking about it. And I felt like earlier when we were getting a positive interaction between him and Thorfinn, I got pretty nervous because like immediately they don't, like, I just had a bad feeling in my stomach once that happens. And
I didn't have my bad feeling with that. I was like, happy little song inside my head. I was like, Ragnar, I'm starting to like you, which should have made me nervous. But at the time it didn't, because I was like, oh, this is going to be good for Thorfinn to go in there. This is great.
I don't know. I saw the, like, sidebar, best place to have a fight is in the snow because you see the most blood because of the white.
Oh, in terms of the visual impact, definitely.
I wonder if we're going to get that. It would be crazy because they do fights in this show like crazy.
We saw some pretty great things with, like, them hiding in the snow to kill Ragnar.
Unbelievable. Okay, so Thorfinn eating, right? The main portion of it to me was, his reactions were great, and I think that we could read a little bit into the reactions of, like, what he saw in front of him, what his interpretation of hearing that Canute can cook was. I'm sure that it did a bit of respect for Thorfinn's view of Canute, just to, like, see a little bit more of who he is as a person and, like, his own qualities and traits.
And that the food tasted good.
But
that definitely
above
helps.
all else, his, like, Thorfinn's action of stepping to the door, right? Like, it was, shown to like definitely give us the idea of how skilled he is, and I think
Right.
maybe alluding to the fact that maybe once Ragnar is gone, Thorfinn still is going to be good trusted hands to have Canut's life in and safety in.
I think that it's really great to question the why of Thorfinn jumping in like that. Thorfinn should be under the impression that he is in a camp of frenemies. Like, obviously, he says he's going to kill Askeladd and get revenge, but he's been living with these men for a while now. For him to immediately jump up upon someone coming in, you know, at first I was thinking that it's very reactionary on his end to just immediately jump into, like, just in case you're an enemy. It could honestly be how he always is when someone comes up to him.
Yeah.
Maybe, but I like to feel that he does this.
You like to project the family.
No, because, well, okay, so maybe, but he's being told that there's something precious to protect in this room, which is this meal that they are sharing and this secret that Canute asks him to keep.
Yeah.
And so there is something in the room to be protected, therefore you are more diligent in defending it and protecting it.
Yeah. And you could also read into it like, okay, you're having a family sit-down time that you probably haven't had anything close to since you were home. And this is the first time you're having it, and somebody's trying to barge in, and you could be protective of that. I don't know.
Or it's purely that he was told to protect Canute from physical harm, and he's just taking it seriously. No chances.
Yeah. Dude, what really is doing it in the show for me above all else is just like the character development that's going. I think it's like the pace is really interesting, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
I agree. I think that the choice to have Ragnar be able to live as long as he did at the end of the episode in order to be able to impart whatever words or message that he felt like he needed to as his dying wish.
Yeah.
I think it really parallels Thor's, that he stayed alive long enough to like try to make sure that Thorfinn would be okay.
I wonder what Canute's reaction really is going to be. Because obviously Askeladd has expectations,
We're gonna lie about
right?
it.
Well, no, I know, but like reaction to the lie. Askeladd has had an expectation prior, like, right? This is going to like be part of like a crucial moment in becoming who he eventually will be, like Canute as like a leader, as a person, and what his emotions are going to be. And upon hearing that, Ragnar was killed by the English, what is? Are you reaffirmed? Are you like motivated? Are you sad?
Are you
like what?
Pushed back into wanting peace and into your shell? Will it do the exact opposite of what Askeladd wants? I mean, why start the episode with us hearing his men start to whisper about the fact that Askeladd's luck is running out? Like, that makes you think that whatever his headcanon is for how Canute will be after Ragnar's death could possibly be.
It's taking like a hermit crab shell away. You know what I mean? Like, it's like he's not going to have anybody to run up and hide behind anymore. Because if he did, he would be taller than they are. Because Thorfinn is shorter than Canute.
Oh,
yeah. All right, that's all I have you.
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And we hope to see you next time.